I now recognize myself for 5 minutes. Director Chopra, as I mentioned in my opening statement, I think we have some alignment here on updating data privacy standards. And your implementation on Section 1033, you know the importance of empowering consumers to exercise their full data rights without being trapped by powerful incumbents and without losing control of the data. How does your proposal ensure that consumers can exercise their full control over their financial data?
So pursuant to the statute, the rule requires that consumers are able to permission their sensitive personal financial data, and to prevent it being exploited by other actors, we've put some safeguards to ensure that it's being permissioned only for the purpose of those financial services. I hope, Chairman McHenry, also you can legislate and figure out ways to address privacy more broadly. Like you mentioned, this rule is just one piece, but I think a legislative framework on privacy would be hugely valuable.
Yeah, and you allow for an opt-in provision. You ban the secondary use. I mean, there's some really smart stuff that you've approached this as, and taking inputs from a wide variety of people.
Yes,
so
and we looked a lot about the discussions you all have had, especially where there's agreement. I really want this to be durable, to last. I think it is important to restrict secondary use. If you shouldn't be able to bait someone to get their sensitive data and then use it for a totally different purpose.
Is there a way for companies to use anonymized data that they've captured from consumers in order to build new products? Do you think that's a viable use?
So that's a place where we are looking specifically for input on. One of the challenges that we're dealing with in today's modern market is re-identification is becoming easier to do, particularly with very advanced artificial intelligence. So I think that's a challenge we're going to have to encounter and wrestle with through this process.
Okay. Well, I look forward to continuing that conversation. Now, you, as I've asked other financial regulators, this summer you announced that you've had discussions with the European Commission, and you, quote, started a dialogue, end quote, on consumer financial protection issues. Under what authority are you taking those actions for those negotiations?
So just to be clear, I think many of the developed economies are seeing the growing role of China, Chinese technology firms, and financial data in the world. We are seeing that we have many issues in common when it comes to surveillance, when it comes to payments. So this, just to be clear, is a meeting. One of my predecessors, Acting Director Mulvaney, launched an initiative to join a global financial innovation network. So again, we see this as a way to understand what other economies are doing, especially when it comes to
So along those lines, they actually had public disclosures about those conversations, Director Kraninger, Director Mulvaney. Do you intend to provide meeting minutes or any sort of public disclosure on what those
we'll try and make sure that we provide transparency as to what is being discussed. I think the purpose of it, again, is as we're seeing data being a growing factor in especially financial services, the UK, Europe, all of us are dealing with new ways of fraud, especially generative AI fraud, so we're really happy to do it.
But from our perspective, what we want to know is what you're doing in your job and whether or not our existing rules require disclosures for these international bodies. And I'm asking you this specifically because your bureau is doing this just like other financial regulators and providing nothing in the way of disclosures around that, other than announce that you're having the conversations. We'd like the transparency.
Okay.
Finally, digital assets. Under your proposed rulemaking, you interpret the word funds to include digital assets. Walk me through your thinking on that proposed rulemaking. But let's start with this. How many firms do you think you're touching with your notice proposed rulemaking?
So we put an estimate. We believe it's the largest tranche, and many of them are going to be known to you. These are large firms that have non-bank payment apps, essentially. I think with respect to the definition, we have seen a number of court decisions that have sought to interpret the meaning of funds. And Mr. Chairman, we've taken a very judicious approach to this to essentially focus on what is really being used as a consumer payment, not other digital asset uses, especially in wholesale or trading or anything. We're really talking about a payment, and I know you all are thinking through stable coins and payments. We really welcome the discussion on that as well.
I now recognize, thank you.